Okay, pre-cal, in this video we are in Unit 9 and we are going to be talking about the law of cosines. So we're making a little bit of a switch here from the law of sines to the law of cosines. And anytime you're not sure which one to use, you need to always look at what combination of angles and sides you are given, and that will help you determine what to use. Because if you'll recall, we can use the law of sines when we've got angle, side, side, when we've got angle, angle, side, or when we've got angle, side, angle. So when we use the law of cosines, as you can see in these examples here, the law of cosines we're going to use when we've got side, angle, side, or when we've got side, side, side. So those are going to be the two situations where we're going to be using the law of cosines. All right, so what is the law of cosines? The law of cosines looks like this. It is one side squared equal to one of the other sides squared plus the third side squared minus 2 times this side times this side times the cosine, law of cosines, of angle A. Okay, so I want to point out some things here. The angle at the end corresponds to the side that you started with. And this side and this side are both right here. So just like with the law of sines having 3 variations, you're also going to have 3 variations for the law of cosines. So you're going to have, these are the other ways to think about it. Dadgummit. Why does technology hate me so badly? Sorry, kids. As usual, Mommy's got her issues. So those are your 3 possible ways to write it. So there are 2 ways we're going to use the law of cosines. When you set it up, you are either going to be solving for this side or you are going to be solving for this angle. You are never going to set these problems up to solve for something in here. You're always going to be solving for one of these sides or one of these angles. So let's jump in and see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so this first example says to solve the triangle if angle B is 60, side A is 6, and side C is 8. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get a visual here. So I'm going to draw this out. And again, just like with the other problems, it does not have to be perfect. So A, B, C, angle B is 60 degrees. Side A is 6, side C is 8. So I want you to notice that if we were going to set this up for the law of sines, I can't do it, because I don't have enough information in my triangle. Because look, I could start with B, side B, over the sine of 60. And then I have to use, like, let's say 8 or 6, it doesn't matter which, 8 over the sine of angle C. See, this gives us 2 variables, and we can't do that. So that's why the law of sines doesn't work for a side angle side situation. So what we're going to do is we've got to figure out which one of these setups we are going to use. So if you'll notice, let's look at this. We've got angle B. Okay, so that would be angle B, side A, so that right there, and side C. Okay, so that means we're going to be using this one right here. So we are setting this up to find side B first. So I'm going to set this up as B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times the cosine of angle B. So let's fill in what we know. A is 6, C is 8, and then cosine of 60 degrees. Awesome. All right, now this is pretty easy because all we have to do to find b is just take the square root of all of this. And yes, you can just type this in and it should work beautifully into your calculator or into Desmos, your Desmos calculator. So I am going to show you this one because you haven't seen one of these yet. So I'm just going to start with my square root. I've got 6 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 6 times 8 times the cosine of 60 degrees. And that gives me 7.21 or 7.2, and that is a correct answer. So B is approximately 7.2. Okay, so then I have a choice here. I can use the law of sines to finish up the problem because now I have enough information to do that. Or you can use the law of cosines again. You kind of have to use the law of cosines for an example like number 5. But for this one, we can just use a law of sine setup. So we can use 7.2 over the sine of 60 degrees equals 6 over the sine of angle A. And then we can cross multiply here. And then divide by 7.2. Dadgummit. I'm just going to skip this step. Okay, sine inverse of all of this. And then we get for angle A, approximately 46 degrees. And then, of course, it's really easy to find our other angle because the measure of angle C is going to be approximately 180 minus 46 plus 60, which, of course, here's my approximately symbol, 74 degrees. Neato. See, it's easy. All right, so let's look at my next example here. This is a side-side situation. So since we don't have any angles, we have to use one of these so that we're setting up to find one of the angle measures. So it does not matter where you start with this. You can start with A, B, or C. It does not matter at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with A squared. So it would look like this. All right, and I've got A here, and B, and C. Okay, now this one is going to be algebraically tricky because students don't understand how numbers work. So we're going to take this one step at a time, okay? Because I know you get bogged down in all the harder stuff that we do, and then you kind of take for granted this easy stuff. That's all I meant by that. So 4 squared, we're going to go ahead and tidy this up. 5 squared is 25, 7 squared is 49, 2 times 5 is 10, times 7 is 70. Okay, now I want you to notice that these are constants, and this 70 is being multiplied to the cosine of A. So you cannot separate those except by division. Be careful. So now what I'm going to do is add 25 and 49 because they're like terms. They're both constants. And now I am going to subtract 74 from both sides. And that gives me negative 70 over here. Now I can divide by negative 70. And so I get cosine of A is equal to positive 58 over positive 70 because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So in my calculator, I'm going to type in cosine inverse of 58 divided by 70. And so for angle A, I am going to get approximately 34 degrees. That's how that works. So then what we're going to do to find our next angle is we're going to use the law of cosines again. But this time we're not going to start with A, we're going to start with B. So we're going to start with 5 squared, and it's going to equal 4 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 4 times 7 times the cosine of B. All right, so tidy this up. Okay, I'm going to add these two numbers together here. This is really just a series of straightening this up so that we can isolate cosine B. That's all we're doing. So then I'm going to subtract, 65 from both sides. I get a negative 40 over here. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 56. So over here, I get a positive 40 over 56. So cosine inverse. What is it with autocorrect stuff? It's just so frustrating. So frustrating. Grr. So B is approximately 44 degrees. And then, of course, the measure of angle C is super duper easy because all I have to do is use the triangle sum theorem to get approximately 102. See, the law of cosines is super duper cool.